Get in. Now. The car door swung open, and Zara didn't think twice. She dove into the back seat, her heart hammering against her ribs so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. Her hands shook as she slammed the door shut, immediately locking it. Through the tinted window, she could see Marcus's silhouette half a block away, his head turning left and right, searching. "Drive, please. Just drive," she gasped, not even looking at who was behind the wheel. "I'll pay you whatever the fare is. Just go." The car didn't move. Zara's breath caught as she finally looked up and met a pair of dark, calculating eyes in the rearview mirror. This wasn't an Uber. The interior was too luxurious. Black leather that probably cost more than her entire year's rent. The man watching her had sharp features, perfectly styled dark hair, and wore a suit that screamed money and danger in equal measure. "Wrong car," he said in accented English, his voice low and cold. "I know, I'm sorry, Zara's voice cracked. She glanced back through the rear window. Marcus was closer now, his face twisted in that familiar rage that made her stomach drop. "Please, he'll kill me this time. I know he will." Something flickered across the stranger's face. His eyes moved from her to the man outside, then back to her bruised wrist that she was unconsciously cradling. For a moment that stretched like eternity, he said nothing. Then his jaw tightened. "Buckle up." The engine purred to life, and the car pulled smoothly into traffic. Zara scrambled to fasten her seatbelt with trembling fingers, not daring to believe this was actually happening. She watched through the back window as Marcus grew smaller, his figure becoming a dot before disappearing entirely. But then she saw him pull out his phone, saw him taking a picture of the car's license plate, and her relief turned to ice. "He got your plate number," she whispered. The driver's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. "Let him try to trace this. He won't get far." If you're loving this forbidden romance already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this story is about to get incredibly complicated. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Zara collapsed back against the seat, adrenaline still flooding her system. Her shift at the restaurant had ended 20 minutes ago. She'd been walking to the bus stop when she saw him waiting there, like he'd known her schedule, like he always knew. 3 months since she'd left him, changed her number, moved apartments, and still he found her. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "I'll get out wherever you're going. I just needed to get away from him." The driver didn't respond. Now that her panic was subsiding, Zara took in more details. There was another man in the passenger seat, broad-shouldered and intimidating, who'd been silent this entire time. He typed something on his phone, the screen's glow illuminating his stern expression. "We're not stopping yet," the driver said. "What?" Zara leaned forward. "No, really, anywhere is fine. I've already imposed enough." "That man, your ex-boyfriend?" "Yes." The word tasted bitter. Boyfriend seemed too gentle a term for what Marcus had been. "He saw you get in my car. He has my plate number. If I drop you off in 5 minutes, what stops him from finding this vehicle's owner? From finding you through me?" Zara's blood ran cold because he was right. Marcus had that look in his eyes, the one that said he wouldn't let this go. Not tonight. Not ever. And now she'd potentially put this stranger in danger too. I hadn't thought of that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. What's done is done. What's your name?" "Zara. Zara Williams. I'm Minho Kang." He paused, as if expecting recognition. When she showed none, something like amusement crossed his features. "And this is Jay, my associate." The man in the passenger seat gave a curt nod but didn't turn around. His hand rested near his waistband in a way that suggested he was armed. They drove in silence for several minutes, leaving downtown behind and heading into an upscale neighborhood Zara had only seen in magazines. The houses grew larger, set back from the road behind gates and walls. Her phone buzzed. Then again. Then it started ringing. Marcus. She rejected the call, and immediately a text came through. "I know whose car you got into. You've made a big mistake." Her hands started shaking again. Minho's eyes met hers in the mirror. "He's texting you. He says he knows whose car this is. How is that possible?" Something dangerous flashed across Minho's face. "Show me." Zara held up her phone. Minho read the message, and his expression hardened. He's bluffing. Probably ran the plate through someone. Got a registered company name. He doesn't know where we're going. But he'll find out. He always finds out. Panic was rising in her chest again. I should just go back, face him. Maybe if I just talk to him. Do you hear yourself? Minho's voice cut through her spiral. You're negotiating with your own fear. That's what he's trained you to do. The accuracy of the statement hit her like a physical blow. Jay finally spoke, his voice gravelly. Men like that don't stop, miss. They escalate. Tonight he was waiting at your bus stop. Next time he'll be inside your apartment. Where are we going? Zara finally asked. Somewhere safe. Minho pulled up to a gate that opened automatically, revealing a long driveway leading to a modern mansion that looked like it belonged in Seoul's wealthiest district. Somewhere he can't find you. Zara's survival instincts, which had been screaming at her to run from Marcus, now whispered warnings about jumping from the frying pan into the fire. Look, I appreciate the help, but I don't know you. I can't just... You're right to be cautious, Minho said, finally turning to look at her directly. His face was even more striking up close, all clean lines and intense focus. But I'm not the one who put those bruises on your arm. I'm not the one you were running from. And right now, you need allies, not more enemies. That doesn't mean I should trust you. No, it doesn't. He tilted his head slightly. But you're out of options, Zara Williams. It's nearly midnight. Your ex has my license plate and is likely already trying to find out who I am. If he's connected, and men who stalk effectively usually are, he might succeed. Which means staying at your apartment tonight would be the worst decision you could make. The truth of it hit her like a slap. Before she could respond, her phone rang again. This time, it was her sister Keisha. Zara answered, her voice shaking. Zara, where are you? Some guy named Marcus just called me asking if I knew where you were. He said you were in danger, that you'd gotten into a car with a dangerous man. Keisha, I'm okay. Marcus is lying. He was waiting for me after work. I had to get away. From him. He said you got into a black Mercedes registered to some Korean businessman. Zara, what's going on? Minho held out his hand for the phone. Zara hesitated, then gave it to him. Ms. Williams? My name is Minho Kang. Your sister came to me for help escaping a dangerous situation. I'm providing her with safe accommodation for the night. She's free to leave whenever she chooses, and I'll have my associate drive her wherever she needs to go. His voice was calm, authoritative. Here, she'll tell you herself. He handed the phone back. Keisha was silent for a moment. Zara, is this real? Are you safe? I think so. I'll explain everything tomorrow. But Keisha, if Marcus calls you again, don't tell him anything. Please. You're scaring me. I'm scared too, but I'm handling it. I'll call you in the morning, I promise. After she hung up, Minho looked at her seriously. Your ex is smart, calling your family, making you seem like you're the one in danger. It's a classic manipulation tactic. How do you know so much about this? I know dangerous men. I've spent my life dealing with them. He opened his car door. Come inside. We need to talk about next steps. The mansion's interior was even more impressive than its exterior. Minimalist design mixed with traditional Korean elements. A modern hanok reimagined. The floors were heated stone, artwork that probably cost more than her life savings hung on the walls, and everything was pristine. But what caught Zara's attention was the security system panel by the door, complex and blinking with multiple zones. The guest room is upstairs, second door on the right, Minho said, shrugging off his jacket. Beneath it, she noticed a shoulder holster with a gun. Her eyes widened, and he followed her gaze. I have enemies, he said simply, as if that explained everything. What exactly do you do, Minho Kang? Import and export. The answer was smooth, practiced. A lie, or at least not the whole truth. Among other things. Before she could press further, an older woman appeared from what Zara assumed was the kitchen. She was elegant, probably in her 60s, with silver-streaked hair pulled back in a neat bun. She stopped when she saw Zara, her eyes going wide. Minhoya, who is this? She asked in Korean, but Zara caught the surprise in her tone. Minho responded in the same language, but Zara could hear the tension in his voice. The woman's expression shifted from surprise to something else. Hope? She looked at Zara with sudden intense interest, then back at Minho, speaking rapidly. Auntie, no, Minho started, but the woman was already approaching Zara with a warm smile that didn't quite reach her calculating eyes. Hello, dear. I'm Mrs. Cho, the housekeeper. You're staying the night? Just tonight, Zara said quickly. I don't want to impose. Nonsense. Though I must say, Minho usually doesn't bring guests home, especially not at this hour. There was a question in her tone. Are you in some kind of trouble, dear? Mrs. Cho, Minho's voice had a warning edge. Zara needs a safe place to stay. That's all you need to know. The older woman's eyes narrowed slightly, and Zara realized she was far more perceptive than her warm demeanor suggested. Of course, I'll prepare the blue guest room. She looked at Zara again, assessing. Have you eaten? You look pale. I'm fine, thank you. I'll bring up some tea anyway. And Minho. She switched back to Korean, saying something that made his jaw tighten. Then she disappeared upstairs. What did she say? Zara asked. That you look like someone running from something, and I should be careful about bringing other people's problems into this house. He ran a hand through his hair. She's protective, and not wrong. They climbed the stairs, and Minho showed her to a beautiful room decorated in soft creams and greys, with a bed that looked like a cloud. There was an attached bathroom stocked with toiletries and even a bathrobe. Lock this door, Minho said seriously. Don't open it for anyone but me or Mrs. Cho. My number is now in your phone. I added it while you were talking to your sister. If anything feels wrong, if you hear anything unusual, you call me immediately. You think Marcus could find this place tonight? I think Marcus is currently scrambling to figure out who I am and whether I'm someone he can intimidate. Depending on what he finds, he'll either back off or escalate. Minho's expression was grim. Either way, tomorrow we deal with this properly. Tonight you rest. Why are you helping me? You don't know me. Minho was quiet for a long moment, his hand on the doorframe. Let's just say I know what it's like to feel trapped, and I have the resources to help, so I am. Get some sleep, Zara. But sleep didn't come. Zara lay in the unfamiliar bed, her mind racing. Every creak of the house settling made her jump, certain it was Marcus somehow finding her. Around 2 a.m., she heard voices downstairs. Minho and Jay, speaking in low Korean. She crept to her door and opened it slightly, catching fragments of conversation. They were discussing her, discussing Marcus, discussing something about tracing the plate and making inquiries. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Marcus. Did he tell you what he is? Ask him about his family business. Ask him how many people he's killed. You jumped from me into the arms of a monster. Zara's hands shook as she read it. Then another text. I'm outside. Tell him to let you go, or I'll call the police and report you as kidnapped. She ran to the window. Sure enough, there was a car parked just outside the gate. Headlights off, but definitely occupied. Her heart hammered. She grabbed her phone and called Minho. He answered before the first ring finished. What's wrong? He's outside. Marcus is outside the gate. He's threatening to call the police. Say I'm being held against my will. Stay in your room. Lock the door. I'll handle this. Minho, maybe I should just go talk to him. No. The word was absolute. That's exactly what he wants. Trust me, Zara. Stay where you are. She heard movement downstairs, then the front door opening. Against Minho's instructions, Zara crept to her window, watching. Minho walked down the driveway toward the gate, Jay beside him. Even from a distance, she could see the confidence in his stride, the absolute authority in his posture. He stopped at the gate and pulled out his phone, making a call. Within 2 minutes, a police car arrived. But instead of the officers going after Minho, they approached Marcus's car. There was a conversation she couldn't hear, and then Marcus was being asked to leave. He clearly argued, but the police were insistent. Finally, his car started and pulled away. Minho returned to the house. Moments later, there was a soft knock on Zara's door. It's me. She opened it. Minho looked tired but satisfied. He's gone. I have friends in the police department. They've been informed about your restraining order against him. If he comes back tonight, he'll be arrested for stalking. You did that in 5 minutes? I make useful friends. He leaned against the doorframe. But Zara, we need to talk seriously tomorrow. This isn't going to stop. Men like Marcus don't give up just because the police tell them to. We need a real solution. What kind of solution? That's what we'll discuss in the morning. Try to get some rest. He turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, what he texted you about me, some of it is probably true. I'm not a good man by conventional standards, but I keep my word, and I protect what's mine. Right now you're under my protection. That means something in my world. After he left, Zara finally managed to sleep, though her dreams were troubled with images of Marcus and mysterious strangers, and a life spiraling beyond her control. When dawn broke, Zara was exhausted but restless. She showered, put on the same clothes from yesterday, and ventured downstairs. The smell of coffee and something cooking drew her to the kitchen, where Mrs. Cho was preparing what looked like a traditional Korean breakfast. Good morning, the older woman said, her eyes sharp and assessing. You look like you didn't sleep well. Is it that obvious? You have that look. The look of someone whose past is catching up with them. Mrs. Cho poured her a cup of tea. Sit. Minho is on a call but will be down soon. Zara sat at the kitchen island, accepting the tea gratefully. Mrs. Cho moved around the kitchen with practiced efficiency, but Zara could feel the weight of the woman's gaze. That man last night, Mrs. Cho said carefully, the one outside the gate. He means to hurt you, doesn't he? He's my ex. I left him 3 months ago. He won't accept it. And you think Minho can protect you from him? There was something strange in her tone. Not doubt, exactly, but a kind of knowing sadness. I don't know what I think anymore. Mrs. Cho set down her cooking utensils and looked at Zara directly. I've worked for the Kang family for 30 years. I watched Minho grow up. I watched him become the man he is, hard, dangerous, isolated. In all those years, in the 10 years he's lived in this house, he's never brought a woman home. Not once. Zara's pulse quickened. Mrs. Cho, this isn't what you think. I'm just here because you needed help, and he gave it. I know. The older woman's expression softened. But I also know my boy. He doesn't help people. He doesn't get involved in others' problems. He builds walls, not bridges. So the fact that you're here, that he brought you into his home, into his private sanctuary, that means something. Before Zara could respond, Minho appeared in the doorway. He'd changed into a fresh suit, but there were dark circles under his eyes, suggesting he'd slept as poorly as she had. Good morning, he said, his eyes finding Zara immediately, as if checking she was still there, still whole. Morning. She stood awkwardly. About last night, I'm sorry for the trouble. Don't apologize. We need to discuss your situation. My study, please. His study was a room lined with books in Korean and English, dark wood and leather furniture that spoke of old money and older power. Minho poured them both coffee and sat across from her, his expression serious. I made some calls this morning. Your ex, Marcus Chen, he's not as powerless as you might think. He has connections to a mid-level crime organization on the east side. Nothing major, but enough to give him resources and protection. Zara's stomach dropped. What? Marcus works in sales. He works in sales as a front. His actual income comes from facilitating certain transactions for the Shen organization. Weapons mostly. Some drugs. Minho's eyes were steady on hers, which means you're not just dealing with an abusive ex-boyfriend. You're dealing with someone who has access to dangerous people and isn't afraid to use them. The room felt too small. I didn't know. I never knew any of this. They're good at hiding it. But Zara, this changes things. A restraining order means nothing to these people. Police intervention means nothing. He will find you, and when he does, he'll have help. Then what do I do? Her voice cracked. Run. Change my name. Leave the country. Or you fight back with equal resources. Minho leaned forward. Which brings me to a proposal. I need your help with something. And in exchange, I can offer you complete protection from Marcus, a mutually beneficial arrangement. What kind of arrangement? Minho stood and walked to the window, his back to her. My grandmother arrives from Seoul this afternoon. She's traditional, powerful, and has been pressuring me for years to leave the family business and settle down. 2 weeks ago, she gave me an ultimatum. Either I prove I'm trying to change my life, starting with a serious relationship, or she'll arrange a marriage for me herself. An arranged marriage in 2026? My family is very traditional and very powerful in certain circles. He turned to face her. I'm not ready to leave my work. There are people who depend on me, operations that can't just stop. But I also can't defy my grandmother directly. It would break her heart, and despite everything I am, I won't do that. Zara felt a sinking sensation. What are you asking me? Be my girlfriend, or at least let my family believe you are. He said it quickly, efficiently. You need protection from Marcus and his connections. I can provide that. 24/7 security, safe housing, everything you need. In exchange, when my family's around, you pretend we're together. It would be temporary, just until my grandmother is satisfied and returns to Seoul. You want me to lie to your grandmother. I want us to help each other. Think about it rationally, Zara. Marcus knows where you work. He knows your routines. He has connections to dangerous people. If you go back to your normal life today, how long before he corners you somewhere without witnesses? Without help? Minho moved closer. Here, you'd have Jay and my other men watching you constantly. Marcus wouldn't get within 100 yards. And after my grandmother leaves, I'll help you relocate, set you up with a new identity if necessary, whatever you need to start fresh. How long would this last? 2, maybe 3 weeks. My grandmother usually stays a month, but if she's convinced I'm serious about someone, she might leave earlier, satisfied. And I'd have to convince her we're really together. That means acting like a couple. Yes, hand-holding, some light affection, nothing you're not comfortable with. I won't touch you beyond what's necessary for appearances. You have my word. Zara stood and paced the room. This is insane. Yesterday I was worried about making rent. Today I'm being offered a role in some complicated deception, involving a Korean crime family. I prefer to think of it as a mutually beneficial business arrangement. And what happens when she leaves? When this is over? You disappear. New city, new identity, new life where Marcus can never find you. I have the resources to make that happen completely. He paused. Or you can walk out of here today. Go back to your apartment and hope Marcus gets bored before he gets violent. Your choice. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tell your new boyfriend he's making a mistake. The Shen family doesn't forget insults. Her hands started shaking. Minho gently took the phone from her, read the message, and his expression hardened. They're escalating. Marcus must have told them I'm interfering. He handed back the phone. Zara, I need an answer. My grandmother lands in 4 hours. Either you're here as my girlfriend, or you're on your own. Every rational thought screamed at her to refuse, to run, to find another way. But she'd been running for 3 months, and Marcus had still found her, still hunted her. And now he had an entire organization backing him. If I agree, I need rules, clear boundaries. Name them. I sleep in my own room, door locked, my space. Agreed. I can contact my family and friends. I won't disappear from their lives. Of course. And if at any point I want out, I leave. No questions, no consequences. You have my word. Minho extended his hand. Do we have a deal? Zara looked at his hand, steady and strong, then at his face. There was something in his eyes that made her think he understood her fear more than he was letting on. 2 people trapped by different circumstances, finding an unlikely solution. She shook his hand. Deal. But I'm telling my sister the truth about this arrangement. Smart. I'd expect nothing less. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Welcome to the family, girlfriend. Now we have 4 hours to make you look the part and get our story straight. The next hours were a controlled chaos. Minho had Jay drive Zara to her apartment to pack clothes and essentials, but this time 2 other men accompanied them, Tae and Sungmin, both armed and alert. They swept her building before letting her enter. checking her apartment like they expected bombs. Is this really necessary? Zara asked Jay as she packed. Mr. Kang doesn't take chances with people under his protection. And after that message from the Shen organization, you're now a potential target. Jay positioned himself by the window, watching the street. They'll test him, see if he's serious about protecting you. What happens if they do? Then Mr. Kang reminds them why people don't cross the Kang family. Jay's tone was matter-of-fact. It won't be pretty, but it will be effective. What exactly does Minho do? And please don't say import-export. Jay was quiet for a long moment. Mr. Kang operates in a world where loyalty is everything and betrayal is death. His family controls certain territories, certain operations, not drugs. He refuses that trade. But weapons, information, protection services, and yes, some legitimate importing. He's not a good man by society's standards, but he's fair. He protects what's his. You're under his protection now. That means something in our world. I'm not his anything. This is temporary, a business arrangement. Jay glanced at her, something unreadable in his expression. Of course, Miss Williams. Though I'd suggest you remember that line when his grandmother arrives. She's very perceptive. Back at the mansion, Mrs. Cho had prepared a different room for Zara. Larger, closer to Minho's suite. For appearances, Minho explained, my grandmother will expect us to be near each other. The room had a sitting area and a view of the manicured garden, luxurious in a way that made Zara's apartment look like a closet. As she unpacked, Minho knocked and entered without waiting for permission, carrying a black velvet box. You'll need this, he said, opening it to reveal an elegant diamond bracelet. My grandmother will expect to see signs of courtship. This is expensive enough to be meaningful, but not so ostentatious that it looks like I'm buying you. Minho, I can't accept this. It's costume jewelry. Well, expensive costume jewelry. When this is over, you keep it or sell it. I don't care. But for now, you wear it when she's around. He fastened it around her wrist, his fingers gentle against her skin. There. Now you look like someone I'd date. And what does that look like? He studied her for a moment. Someone strong enough to stand up to me. Someone who doesn't want my money or my power. Someone real. He stepped back quickly. We need to rehearse our story. My grandmother will interrogate you. They spent the next hour constructing their fictional relationship. They'd met at the Korean restaurant where she worked. He'd come in for dinner, kept returning, eventually asked her out. 2 months together, serious enough that he'd introduced her to Mrs. Cho, but not yet serious enough that his grandmother knew. They connected over both being orphans, both understanding loss. It was close enough to truth to be believable, distant enough to be safe. What should I know about you? Zara asked. I can't be your girlfriend and know nothing. I was born in Seoul, came here when I was 15 after my mother died. My father ran the family organization until he was killed 5 years ago in a territory dispute. I took over despite being young, despite my grandmother's wishes that I'd go legitimate. His voice was matter-of-fact, but Zara heard the pain beneath. I've made enemies. I've made choices I can't take back. I'm not looking for redemption, just stability. And your grandmother? What's she like? Sharp as a blade, traditional but not stupid. She sees everything, forgets nothing. She'll like you if you're genuine, hate you if she senses deception. He met her eyes. Which is why we need to make this believable, not just in words, but in how we act around each other. What does that mean? Instead of answering, Minho reached out and took her hand, his thumb brushing across her knuckles. It means we need to be comfortable with casual touch. Like this. My grandmother will notice if we flinch away from each other. His hand was warm, his touch surprisingly gentle. Zara's pulse quickened, and she forced herself to breathe normally. Okay, what else? Eye contact. Couples look at each other, really look. They have silent conversations across rooms. He demonstrated, holding her gaze until she felt heat rise in her cheeks. They know each other's tells, finish each other's sentences sometimes. That seems like a lot to fake in a few hours. Then we don't fake it. We just pay attention to each other. Be present. His expression softened slightly. Easier than you might think. Before she could respond, Jay appeared in the doorway. She's here. 20 minutes. Out. Minho's entire demeanor shifted, becoming more formal, more controlled. Remember, you love me enough to meet my family, but you're nervous. That nervousness will cover any mistakes. And Zara? He squeezed her hand. Thank you for doing this. Thank me when it's over and I'm still alive. Deal. Kang Mi-young arrived like a small, elegant storm. She swept into the mansion with 2 assistants carrying her luggage, her eyes sharp and assessing as they immediately found Zara standing next to Minho. The older woman went very still, her expression unreadable. Halmoni, Minho said warmly, bowing deeply. Welcome back. Minho ya. Mi-young's eyes never left Zara. She said something in rapid Korean, her tone sharp. Minho responded, gesturing to Zara. His grandmother's eyebrows rose. More Korean, faster now, with a tone that suggested she was not pleased to be surprised. Halmoni, Minho said firmly, switching to English. This is Zara Williams, my girlfriend. Zara, this is my grandmother, Kang Mi-young. Zara bowed, hoping she was doing it correctly, her heart hammering. It's an honor to meet you, ma'am. Mi-young stepped closer, looking Zara up and down with unabashed scrutiny. She was tiny but radiated authority that made Zara feel like she was being examined under a microscope. The older woman's eyes lingered on the bracelet, on Zara's nervous hands, on the way she unconsciously leaned slightly toward Minho. Then, to Zara's complete shock, Mi-young's stern expression cracked into a smile. She reached out and took Zara's hands in hers, speaking in accented English. Finally, this stubborn boy brings home a woman, and such a beautiful one. Thank you, Mom. No, Mom. You call me Halmoni, yes? If you're with my grandson, you're family. But her eyes were still calculating, still watching. Come. Sit. We talk. I want to know everything about the woman who finally caught Minho's attention. The next hour was the most intense interrogation Zara had ever experienced, disguised as pleasant tea time. Mi-young wanted to know everything. Zara's background, her family, her education, how she met Minho, what her intentions were. Minho sat beside Zara on the couch, his hand occasionally finding hers, presenting a united front. But Zara could feel the tension radiating from him. Your parents? They passed when you were young? Mi-young asked, her expression softening. Yes, Mom. Halmoni. Car accident. I was 12. My sister Keisha raised me after that. She's a nurse now. An orphan, like my Minho. You understand loss then. Understand how it shapes a person. Mi-young's eyes grew distant. This is good. You'll understand his complications. Complications? Halmoni, Minho interjected in Korean, his tone warning. Mi-young waved him off and looked at Zara seriously. My grandson is involved in the family business. You know what this means? Zara chose her words carefully. I know he does work that's sometimes dangerous, that he has enemies. He's been honest with me about that. And this doesn't scare you away? Zara glanced at Minho, at his carefully neutral expression, and made a choice to sell this performance. Everything about him probably should scare me, but he's also been kind when he didn't have to be. Protective. Honest. She squeezed his hand. I'm choosing to trust that the man I see is real. Something flickered in Minho's eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or something deeper. Mi-young studied them both for a long moment, then nodded as if satisfied. Good. Then you join us for dinner. Every night I'm here, we eat together as family. You'll learn to make proper kimchi, yes? Every Korean man expects his woman to make good kimchi. I'd be honored to learn, Halmoni. After Mi-young retired to her room to rest from the journey, Zara sagged against the couch. Is she always that intense? That was her being pleased with you. You should see her when she disapproves. Minho stood and poured them both whiskey, from a crystal decanter. You did well. The orphan connection resonated with her. She lost her parents young too, raised by an aunt who was cruel. She has a soft spot for survivors. I wasn't lying about that part, or about most of it really, just the timeline. Zara accepted the whiskey. Your grandmother, she said, the woman who finally caught your attention. Implying you've been resistant to relationships? I don't do relationships. They're liabilities in my line of work. People you care about become targets, leverage for enemies. He sat beside her, closer than necessary. Safer to be alone. That sounds lonely. It is. The admission seemed to surprise him, but loneliness is survivable. Losing someone because they got caught in my world, that's not. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of truth settling between them. Then Zara's phone buzzed. A text from Keisha. Marcus called me again. He's asking about some Korean guy named Kang. Zara, what have you gotten into? Minho read the text over her shoulder. He's digging into my background. That's actually good. What he finds will scare him more than any threat I could make. What will he find? That the Kang family has controlled certain operations in this city for 3 generations. That crossing us has consequences. That I'm not someone to intimidate. Minho's expression was cold. By tomorrow, Marcus will either back off completely or make a very stupid decision. And if he makes the stupid decision, then I'll handle it. He met her eyes. I told you. You're under my protection now. That's not just words, Zara. That's a promise I keep. That night, after a surprisingly pleasant dinner where Mi-young told stories about Minho as a boy in Seoul, Zara found herself too wired to sleep. She wandered downstairs and found Minho on the back terrace, smoking a cigarette. The smoke curled up into the night sky, and in the dim light she could see tattoos on his forearm where his sleeve was, rolled up, intricate designs that looked like dragons or flames. Couldn't sleep? He asked without turning. Too much in my head. She joined him at the railing. Today was surreal. Playing house with a crime family while my ex-boyfriend mobilizes his own criminal contacts. This is not how I pictured my life going. How did you picture it? Boring, honestly. Hotel management, maybe a cute apartment in the suburbs, someone stable and kind. The complete opposite of exciting. She laughed bitterly. Instead, I got Marcus, then ran from him straight into whatever this is. Chaos? I was going to say something complicated, but chaos works too. Minho took a long drag of his cigarette, the ember glowing in the darkness. Can I ask you something? Yes. Earlier, when my grandmother asked if I made you happy, you looked at me like, I don't know, like you were seeing me for the first time. What were you thinking? Zara was quiet, choosing her words carefully. I was thinking that you're probably the loneliest person I've ever met. That you've built this whole life around being powerful and feared, but somewhere along the way, you forgot to build anything real. And that makes me sad. He turned to look at her. Really look at her. And Zara saw the mask slip. For just a moment, she saw vulnerability, pain, the human beneath the reputation. Then he looked away. You're too perceptive for someone I just met. Maybe that's why your grandmother likes me. I see you. That should terrify you. It probably should, but it doesn't. Zara surprised herself with the honesty. Minho, I know this is all fake. I know I'm here because we're both trapped by circumstances and this is mutually beneficial. But that conversation with your grandmother, when I said you'd been kind and honest with me, I meant it. Arrangement or not, you've been good to me. I'm keeping you safe from one dangerous man while being another dangerous man. That's not kindness, Zara. That's just a different kind of cage. Maybe. Or maybe it's the first time in years either of us has had someone in our corner, even temporarily. Minho's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression darkened. Jay says Marcus was spotted 2 blocks from here 20 minutes ago. He left when he saw our patrol. He's escalating. Yes, which means tomorrow I need to send him a stronger message. Minho's voice went cold. Jay is arranging a meeting with his Shen connections. They'll be informed that continuing to help Marcus harass you will have consequences for their entire organization. That sounds dangerous. Everything I do is dangerous, but I'm very good at it. He stubbed out his cigarette. Get some rest. Tomorrow will be complicated. But instead of leaving, Zara stayed at the railing with him, and they stood in silence watching the city lights. It should have been awkward, but somehow it wasn't. For the first time since this bizarre arrangement began, Zara felt like they weren't performing for anyone. They were just two people, alone in the dark, finding unexpected comfort in each other's presence. The next morning, Zara woke to the sound of raised voices downstairs. She grabbed a robe and hurried out of her room, pausing at the top of the stairs. Minho was in the foyer with two men she didn't recognize, one of them shouting in Korean while Minho remained eerily calm. Jay stood to the side, his hand near his concealed weapon. The argument escalated. The shouting man took a step toward Minho, and in a blur of movement, Minho had him slammed against the wall, his forearm across the man's throat. He said something in Korean, low and deadly, and the man went pale. Mi-young appeared from the sitting room, completely unfazed. She said something sharp in Korean, and Minho immediately released the man, stepping back. The two visitors left quickly, not looking back. "Zara," Mi-young called up the stairs. "Come have breakfast, child. The men are just conducting business." Zara came downstairs slowly. Minho's expression when he looked at her was apologetic. "I'm sorry you saw that." "Who were they?" "Business associates with a complaint about a territory issue. It's handled now." He rolled down his shirt sleeve, which had ridden up during the altercation, revealing more of those intricate tattoos. "I have meetings all day. Jay will stay with you and my grandmother." "Actually," Mi-young interjected, "Zara and I are going shopping. She needs proper clothes if she's to be part of this family." "Halmoni, that's really not necessary," Zara started. "Nonsense. Besides, I want to know her better, without you hovering Minhoya." The older woman smiled sweetly, but there was steel underneath. "Jay and one other can accompany us for safety, but you have business to attend to." Minho looked like he wanted to argue but knew better. "Fine. But Jay, I want updates every hour." Shopping with Mi-young was an experience. The older woman took Zara to high-end boutiques where everything cost more than Zara made in a month, insisting on buying her dresses, shoes, and jewelry that made her deeply uncomfortable. But it was also revealing. Mi-young talked about her own youth, about meeting Minho's grandfather, about the choices that led her into this complicated life. "My family wanted me to marry a politician's son," Mi-young said, as they sat for tea between shops. Jay and Tai standing discreet watch nearby. Respectable, boring, safe. I ran away to Seoul instead, worked in a restaurant. That's where I met my husband. He was dangerous, involved in things I didn't understand. But he saw me. Really saw who I was, not who my family wanted me to be." "And you chose him anyway?" "I chose the life I wanted, not the life that was expected. It wasn't easy. There was violence, danger, times I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. But I never regretted choosing love over safety." Mi-young's eyes were sharp on Zara. "I see my grandson with you, how he looks at you when you're not watching. Like you're something precious he's afraid to break. I haven't seen him look at anyone that way before." Guilt twisted in Zara's stomach. This kind woman believed in a relationship that was entirely fabricated. "Halmoni, Minho and I, we're still new. We're figuring things out. You don't need to explain. I see what I see." Mi-young patted her hand. "Just promise me something, child. Whatever happens, whatever complications arise, don't take the light from his eyes. He's been in darkness so long, he's forgotten what warmth feels like. You've reminded him." The guilt only deepened. Zara wanted to confess everything, but she thought of Marcus, of the threats, of how Mi-young herself had shot someone to protect her just days ago. This woman was kind, but she was also steel-wrapped in silk. She'd chosen this life knowing its costs. They returned to the mansion laden with shopping bags. Minho was in his study with several men, the door closed. Jay caught Zara's eye and shook his head slightly. "Don't interrupt." But Zara could hear raised voices again, and this time one of them didn't sound friendly. Mrs. Cho appeared at her elbow. "Come help me prepare dinner. Best to stay clear when he's handling business." In the kitchen, as they chopped vegetables, Mrs. Cho spoke quietly. "The man in there, Park Ji-hoon, was Mr. Kang's father's right hand. He thinks he should have inherited the organization instead of Minho. There's been tension for years. Is Minho in danger?" "Minho is always in danger. That's the life he's chosen." Mrs. Cho's expression was sad. "But having you here, having something to protect beyond just territory and power, it gives him a reason to be careful." That's new. The study door burst open, and a man stormed out. Mid-50s, expensive suit, face twisted in rage. He saw Zara in the kitchen and stopped, his eyes going cold and calculating. "So this is the new pet," he said in accented English. "The waitress?" Playing at being a mob wife. Minho appeared behind him instantly, his voice lethal. "Park, leave. Now." "Or what? You'll threaten me in front of your grandmother like you did Song and Kim this morning?" Park smiled cruelly. "You're getting soft, boy. Your father would be ashamed. My father would have killed you for questioning him. I'm being generous by letting you walk out of here." Minho moved between Park and Zara, a physical barrier. "Don't mistake patience for weakness." Park's eyes flicked to Zara again. "Such a pretty thing. Would be a shame if something happened to her while you're busy protecting your crumbling empire." The temperature in the room dropped. Jay and the other men moved, hands going to weapons. Minho's expression went blank, which was somehow more terrifying than rage. "You just made the last mistake of your life," Minho said quietly. "Get out of my house, and pray I'm feeling merciful tomorrow." After Park left, Minho turned to Zara. His hands were shaking, slightly, with rage or fear. She couldn't tell. "Pack a bag. You're not staying here tonight." "What? Why?" "Because Park just threatened you directly, and that means he's testing me. Seeing if I'll react, if I'll be distracted protecting you instead of managing the business." Minho's jaw clenched. "You're a liability now. Exactly what I knew would happen." The words stung more than they should have. "Then maybe I should just leave. End this arrangement." "No." He caught her arm. "I need to move you somewhere safer temporarily, that's all. Somewhere Park doesn't know about. Jay will take you to one of our safe houses across town. You'll stay there with protection until I've handled this." "Handled how?" "However is necessary." His expression softened slightly. "Zara, I'm sorry. Bringing you into this, putting you at risk. I thought I could control all the variables, but Park is unpredictable. He's been working against me for months, and now he sees you as a weakness to exploit." "I'm not your weakness, Minho. I'm just someone you're helping." "Are you?" He studied her face, "because it's starting to feel like more than that." Before she could respond, Mi-young appeared, having clearly heard everything. She spoke rapidly in Korean, her tone sharp. Minho responded, but she cut him off, her small frame somehow dominating the space. Then she turned to Zara. "You're not going anywhere. This is our home, and we don't run from threats." She looked at her grandson. "Park Ji-hoon is a coward who hides behind your father's memory. Handle him properly, Min-ho-ya. Show him why you lead this family. Halmoni, if something happens to Zara, then we handle that too. Together, as family does." Mi-young took Zara's hand. "You wanted me to believe she's yours? Then treat her as such. Your woman doesn't hide while you fight. She stands beside you." "This isn't her world, Halmoni. She doesn't understand the danger." "I understand plenty," Zara interrupted. "I understand that running and hiding didn't work with Marcus, and it won't work now. I understand that Park is testing you by threatening me, and I understand that if I run, I prove him right, that I'm a weakness." She looked at Minho directly. "I'm staying. We handle this together." "Zara, you promised me protection. I'm holding you to that, but I'm not going to be shipped off like cargo every time there's a threat." She was surprised by her own conviction. "Besides, we have to keep up appearances for your grandmother, right? The arrangement doesn't work if I disappear." Minho looked between Zara and his grandmother, clearly outnumbered. Finally, he sighed. "Fine, but security triples. Jae, Tae, and Sungmin rotate shifts. She doesn't leave the grounds without at least 2 guards. And Zara," he caught her hand, "you do exactly what they tell you. No arguments, no independence. If they say run, you run. Understood?" "Understood." That evening was tense. Dinner with Mi-young was pleasant on the surface, but Zara could feel Minho's coiled tension, his eyes constantly moving to the windows, the doors, calculating threats. After Mi-young retired, he disappeared into his study with Jae, and Zara could hear low, intense conversation in Korean. She tried to read but couldn't focus. Around 11, she ventured to the study and knocked. "Come in." Minho was alone now. Paperwork spread across his desk, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He'd removed his jacket and tie, and she could see the edge of tattoos at his collar, the intricate designs that continued beneath his clothes. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Can't stop thinking about what Park said, about me being a liability?" "You're not." The answer was immediate, certain. "But I am, Minho. That's just reality. Your enemies now know I exist, know I matter to you, or at least that you're claiming I matter. That makes me a target. Then I'll deal with any threat that comes." He stood and moved to the window. "This is my fault. I brought you into this to solve my grandmother problem, and I didn't think through the full implications. I was arrogant. Or you were trying to help someone." Zara approached him carefully. "Can I ask you something? When Park threatened me, you looked scared. Actually scared. Why?" Minho was quiet for a long moment. "My mother was killed because of my father's work. Someone wanted to hurt him, so they targeted what he loved most. I watched him break after that, become something hollow and mean. I swore I'd never give anyone that kind of leverage over me. But here I am. Here you are." He turned to look at her, "pretending to be important to me, except somehow it stopped being pretend. And I don't know when that happened." Zara's breath caught. "Minho, I'm not asking for anything, Zara. I know what this is. A temporary arrangement that benefits us both. But I need you to know that if Park or anyone else comes after you, it won't be because you're a convenient lie. It'll be because I genuinely care what happens to you, and I'm not sure when I started caring, but I do." She should step back, reinforce the boundaries, remind them both this was business. Instead, she moved closer. "That thing you said about being lonely, I understand that. I've been alone since I left Marcus, just trying to survive. And then I jumped into your car, and suddenly I have people watching my back. A grandmother who wants to teach me to cook. A man who threatens organizations on my behalf. It's terrifying and overwhelming, and I should probably be more scared than I am. But mostly I just feel seen. Like someone's paying attention not to what they can get from me, but to who I actually am. That's because you're worth paying attention to." They were close now, closer than the performance for Mi Young required. Zara could see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes, could see the tension in his jaw, the way his hands flexed like he wanted to reach for her but was holding back. "This is a bad idea," she whispered. "Probably the worst I've had in years. We agreed this was just business. No complications. I'm aware." Neither of them moved away. The air between them felt electric, charged with possibility and danger in equal measure. Minho's hand came up slowly, giving her time to pull back, before his fingers brushed her cheek. "Tell me to stop," he said quietly. Zara should. Every logical part of her brain screamed to reinforce the boundaries, to remember this was temporary, to protect herself from another complicated man. But logic had never protected her from anything. Running hadn't worked. Playing it safe with Marcus had nearly gotten her killed. "I don't want to," she admitted. He kissed her then, and it wasn't gentle or tentative. It was desperate, like a drowning man grabbing for air, like someone who'd been alone too long suddenly finding connection. Zara kissed him back, pouring everything she'd been feeling into it. Fear and hope and gratitude and something deeper she wasn't ready to name. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Minho rested his forehead against hers. His hands framed her face, thumbs brushing her cheekbones. "This changes things," he said. "I know. We should probably talk about what this means, set new boundaries." "Minho." Zara pulled back enough to meet his eyes. "Can we just not overthink this for one night? Tomorrow we can analyze and set rules and be rational. Tonight, can we just be two people who are tired of being alone?" Something in his expression softened, the mask dropping completely. "Yeah, we can do that." They ended up on the leather couch in his study, Zara curled against his side, his arm around her shoulders. They didn't talk much, just existed together in comfortable silence. At some point, Zara dozed off, feeling safer than she had in months. She woke to urgent voices. Minho was on his phone, speaking rapid Korean, his free hand still holding hers. Jay stood in the doorway, his expression grim. "What's wrong?" Zara asked groggily. Marcus and two Shen enforcers just tried to breach the south gate. Our patrol intercepted them. Minho's voice was ice. He's not backing down. Is everyone okay? Our people are fine. Marcus is currently being detained in our security building, which presents an interesting opportunity. Minho stood, helping Zara to her feet. Jay, wake my grandmother and have Mrs. Cho take her to the safe room. I don't want her involved in this. What are you going to do? Zara asked. Have a conversation with your ex-boyfriend, one that will make very clear that his pursuit of you is over. His expression was cold, dangerous. You should probably stay here. I'm coming with you. Zara, this isn't going to be pleasant. I don't care. He's terrorized me for 3 months. If you're ending this, I want to see it. Her voice was steady. I need to see it. Minho studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Stay behind me. Don't speak unless I tell you to. And if things escalate, Jay will get you out. Agreed? Agreed. The security building was a small structure at the edge of the property, windowless and utilitarian. Inside, Marcus sat in a chair, hands zip-tied, one eye already swelling from resisting capture. 2 of Minho's men stood guard, expressionless. When Marcus saw Zara, his face twisted. There you are. Finally got tired of playing house with criminals? Ready to come home and apologize? Minho moved so fast, Marcus didn't see it coming. One moment he was sneering. The next, Minho had him by the throat, lifting him partially out of the chair. You don't speak to her. You don't look at her. You don't think about her. Minho's voice was deadly calm. From this moment forward, Zara Williams does not exist in your world. Do you understand? Fuck you. The Shen organization already knows you tried to breach my property with their men, and they're very unhappy about it. They've been informed that continuing to associate with you will result in consequences for their entire operation. Minho released him, and Marcus slumped in the chair. They've cut ties, Marcus. You're on your own now. You're lying. Am I? Minho pulled out his phone, playing a recording of a conversation in Chinese. Zara couldn't understand the words, but she understood Marcus's expression as he listened. Pure devastation. They left me because of her? Because of some waitress? They left you because you became a liability. Because threatening what's mine is bad business. Minho crouched to Marcus's eye level. Here's what happens now. You leave this city. Tonight. You don't contact Zara, her sister, her friends, or anyone associated with her. You don't mention her name. You forget she exists. And if I don't, then you disappear. Not metaphorically. Actually disappear. And before you think that's an empty threat, ask yourself why the Shen organization, who you thought had your back, immediately abandoned you when I made one phone call. Minho stood. I control territories they need for their supply lines. I have leverage they can't afford to lose. You're one man with delusions of power. Do the math. Marcus looked past Minho to Zara, and she saw something break in his expression. The realization that he'd truly lost. That his control over her was gone. Zara, please. I love you. I just wanted you back. No. Her voice was steady, strong. You wanted to own me. That's not love. You lost me the first time you put your hands on me, Marcus. Everything since then has just been you refusing to accept that. I can change. I don't care. And she meant it. Standing there, watching him tied to a chair, powerless, Zara felt something lift from her chest. You don't get to be my problem anymore. Minho nodded to his men. Put him on a bus to anywhere that's not here. Give him $500 and make it clear that if he's seen in this city again, there won't be a warning. As they dragged Marcus out, still protesting, Zara felt Minho's hand find hers. It's over, he said quietly. He can't hurt you anymore. She should have felt relief, triumph, something positive. Instead, she felt exhausted and sad that her life had gotten so twisted that this was what freedom looked like. Thank you, she managed. Don't thank me yet. That was the easy problem. Minho's expression was grim. Park is still out there, and now that he knows you actually matter to me, he's going to be even more motivated to use you as leverage. As if summoned by the mention of his name, Minho's phone rang. He looked at the screen, and his expression hardened. It's him, he answered on speaker. Park's voice came through, smooth and mocking. I heard you had some excitement tonight. Dealing with the ex-boyfriend. How noble. What do you want, Park? Just calling to clarify something. That girl, she's not really your girlfriend, is she? This whole thing, it's a performance. For your grandmother. I have people who looked into Ms. Williams. She only appeared in your life a week ago, right when your grandmother's visit was announced. Park laughed. You're running a con on your own family. How disappointing. Zara's stomach dropped. Beside her, Minho's expression went blank. Even if that were true, it's none of your concern. Oh, but it is. Because if she's just a convenient lie, then threatening her won't really bother you, will it? She's disposable. Replaceable. Park's voice turned cold. But if she's real, if you actually care about her, then she's the perfect leverage. So which is it, Minho? Is she a lie you'll abandon? Or a weakness I can exploit? Minho's eyes met Zara's, and in them she saw a decision being made. She's neither, he said carefully. She's someone under my protection, which means touching her comes with consequences regardless of personal feelings. Such a politician answer. I'll take that as confirmation. She matters. Park hung up. Minho immediately started making calls, barking orders in Korean. Jay appeared with more men, and the house went into lockdown. Reinforced security at every entrance. Patrols doubled. Surveillance expanded. Mi-young emerged from the safe room, took one look at the controlled chaos, and sat Zara down in the sitting room. Tell me everything, she commanded. No lies this time. So Zara told her. About Marcus. About the arrangement. About how it had started as mutual convenience and become something more complicated. To her surprise, Mi-young didn't look shocked or disappointed. She looked almost amused. You think I didn't know? The older woman patted Zara's hand. I've suspected since the second day. Mrs. Cho told me how you arrived, how Minho offered you shelter. I know my grandson. He doesn't help strangers without reason. But I also watched you both over the past week, and what I saw wasn't pretense. It was two lonely people finding each other. But we lied to you. You did what you needed to survive. Both of you. Mi-young's expression softened. Zara, I didn't come here just because I wanted Minho to settle down. I came because I was worried about him. He's been so isolated, so hardened by this life. And then I arrive and find you. Someone who looks at him like he's human, not just a useful monster. Someone who makes him smile. I'm sorry we deceived you. Are you in love with him? The question was direct, unflinching. Zara opened her mouth to deny it, to maintain some boundary, but found she couldn't. I don't know. Maybe. It's too fast, too complicated. Love is always too fast and too complicated. That's how you know it's real. Mi-young stood. The question isn't whether you love him. It's whether you're brave enough to stay when things get dangerous. Because they will, child. Park won't stop with threats. That night, Minho insisted Zara stay in his room, where security was tightest. She tried to argue, but he was immovable. Park knows about you now. Really knows. That changes everything. He showed her the panic button installed by the bed, the reinforced door, the direct line to security. I won't let anything happen to you. This is my fault. If I hadn't agreed to this arrangement, then you'd be dealing with Marcus alone, and I'd still be lying to my grandmother while Park plotted against me. We helped each other, Zara. That's not something to regret. He caught her hand. Though I'll admit, things have gotten more complicated than either of us planned. Minho, what Park said about me being disposable. He's wrong. You're not disposable, not replaceable, not a weakness to be exploited. You're... He stopped, seeming to struggle for words. You're the first real thing I've had in years. Everything else in my life is transactions and power plays and strategies. But you, this thing between us, it's just real. Messy and complicated and probably inadvisable, but real. Zara kissed him then, soft and sweet, trying to convey everything she couldn't put into words. When they parted, she rested her forehead against his. When this is over, when Park is handled and the danger passes, what happens to us? I don't know, but I'd like to find out. He pulled her closer. If you're willing to stick around after seeing exactly how chaotic my world is, I jumped into a stranger's car to escape danger. I think I can handle a little chaos." They fell asleep together, wrapped around each other. And for the first time since this arrangement began, Zara felt like they weren't pretending about anything. She woke to gunfire. Minho was already moving, shoving her toward the panic room built into his closet. "Get in. Don't come out until I come for you." "What's happening?" "Park is making his move. Go. Now." Zara wanted to argue, but the sound of breaking glass downstairs sent her scrambling into the hidden room. Through the small monitor inside, she could see chaos unfolding, armed men pouring into the house, Minho's security engaging them. She saw Minho himself, gun in hand, moving with lethal efficiency. Saw Jay taking down 2 attackers. Saw Myung being escorted to safety by Mrs. Cho, the older woman holding a small pistol like she knew exactly how to use it. Then Park himself appeared in the foyer, flanked by more men. He was looking for something. For her, Zara realized with ice in her veins. He wanted leverage, wanted to prove she was Minho's weakness. Through the monitor's audio, she heard Park's voice. "Where is she, Minho? Your little girlfriend, the one who's supposedly not a weakness. You just signed your death warrant, Park, attacking my home, my family. Your fake family, your fake girlfriend. I know the truth now, so bring her out, and maybe we can negotiate, or I start burning this house down around you." Zara's hands shook as she reached for the panic room door. She couldn't let Minho's home be destroyed because of her. Couldn't let his people get hurt protecting a lie that had become truth. But before she could open it, the monitor showed Myung stepping forward, placing herself between Park and the hallway that led to Minho's room. "You want to hurt my family?" The old woman's voice was steel. "You'll have to go through me first, Park Ji-hoon. I remember you as a boy, watching my husband with such ambition. He never trusted you, you know. Said you had a coward's heart." Park's face twisted with rage. "Your husband was weak, just like his son, just like Minho. All of you, weakened by sentiment and old traditions. And yet we're still standing, while you're just another ambitious fool who'll be forgotten by morning." Myung raised her small pistol. "Leave now, or join the other mistakes I've had to bury." The standoff lasted seconds that felt like hours. Then Minho appeared behind Myung, a dozen of his men with him, all armed. The math became clear. Park was outnumbered, outgunned, and out of time. "This isn't over," Parker spat. "Yes, it is." Minho's voice was final. "You attacked my home, threatened my family. In our world, there's only one response to that." Gunfire erupted. Zara turned away from the monitor, unable to watch, her hands over her ears. When the sound finally stopped, she heard Minho's voice through the door. "Zara, it's over. You can come out." She emerged shakily to find Minho standing there, a cut on his face but otherwise intact. Behind him, the house was a mess. Broken furniture, bullet holes in walls, but no bodies. His men were securing the property. "Park?" she asked. "In custody. He'll face consequences from the other families for this violation. It won't be pretty." Minho pulled her into his arms. "But he'll never threaten you again. I promise." Myung appeared in the doorway, still holding her gun, looking remarkably composed for someone who'd just faced down armed attackers. "Is the child all right?" "I'm fine, Harmony, are you? Please, this isn't my first siege." The old woman smiled grimly. "Though I'll admit, it's been a few decades. Nice to know I haven't lost my edge." Over the next hours, as security cleaned up and police who were clearly on Minho's payroll filed cursory reports, the full scope of the attack became clear. Park had brought 15 men, planning to overwhelm the house security and take Zara hostage. But he'd underestimated Myung's presence, underestimated Minho's preparation, and overestimated his own support. The other families, informed of his plan, had refused to back him, essentially leaving him to fail alone. "He's ruined," Jay explained to Zara as dawn broke. "Even if he survives the legal consequences, his reputation is destroyed. No one will work with him after this." And Minho solidified his position. The other families saw him successfully defend his territory and his people. They respect that. Jay paused. "They also saw him defending you. That respect extends to you now, Miss Williams. You're recognized as under the Kang family protection. That means something. Later, as the sun rose fully and the chaos finally settled, Zara found Minho on the back terrace where they'd stood together days ago. He looked exhausted, but relieved. Your grandmother was amazing, Zara said. She's survived in this world for 60 years. I sometimes forget she's tougher than all of us combined. He pulled Zara against his side. I'm sorry you had to see that, had to be part of it. I'm not. I mean, I wish it hadn't happened, but... She struggled for words. I watched you protect your home, your family, me. I saw what you're capable of, both the dangerous parts and the good parts. And I'm still here. That might not be the wisest decision you've ever made. Probably not, but it's mine. She looked up at him. Minho, your grandmother said that after this, after Park is handled, I could leave. Start fresh somewhere new with your help. Is that what you want? What I want and what's smart are two different things. He was quiet for a moment. Smartest thing would be to set you up in a new city with a new identity. Let you live a normal life away from all this chaos. That's not what I asked. What I want is for you to stay. Not because of the arrangement, not because of my grandmother, but because somehow in the span of a week, you've become important to me in a way I can't fully explain. He turned to face her fully. But wanting you to stay and asking you to stay are different things. This life, what you saw tonight, that's my reality. It'll happen again, different enemies at different times. Always dangerous. I can't ask you to sign up for that. What if I'm asking to? His expression shifted. Hope and fear and something deeper all at once. Zara, I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not saying this isn't terrifying. But I spent 3 months running from Marcus, trying to rebuild a safe, normal life, and it didn't work. Maybe safe and normal isn't what I actually need. Maybe what I need is someone who sees me, protects me, challenges me to be braver than I think I can be. She took his hands. Maybe I need you. You're sure? Because there's no casual version of this, of us. If you stay, if we do this for real, you're part of my world. That comes with consequences. I'm sure. Or at least, I'm sure enough to try. Minho kissed her then, deep and certain, like a promise being made. When they finally broke apart, Mi-young was standing in the doorway, tears streaming down her weathered face. Finally, she said in Korean, then switched to English. Finally, you both stop pretending and start living. 3 months later, Zara sat in the sitting room of what was now definitely her home, not a temporary refuge. Mi-young had returned to Seoul 2 weeks after the Park incident, satisfied that Minho was on the right path. But she called weekly, always asking after Zara, always pressing for details about when they'd make things official. Zara had quit her restaurant job, but not to become just the boss's girlfriend. With Minho's support, she'd enrolled in a management program and was working on opening a community center in the neighborhood, something legitimate and helpful that gave her purpose beyond the complicated world of Minho's business. Marcus had resurfaced briefly, calling from across the country, but a single reminder of the consequences of contact had sent him back into silence. Park was serving time for the attack, his organization dissolved and absorbed by others. The city had reached a new equilibrium, and Minho's position was stronger than ever. But what had changed most was them. No more pretending, no more performance. They were building something real, messy and complicated, and sometimes terrifying, but real. Minho had shown her the full extent of his tattoos one night, the intricate dragons and flames that covered his chest and back, each one representing a promise made or a battle survived. She'd traced them with her fingers and told him they were beautiful. I love you, he'd said then, the first time either of them had spoken the words aloud. I'm not sure when it happened, but I do. I love you too, she'd responded, even though you're impossible and dangerous, and definitely going to give me grey hair. Now, sitting in their home, waiting for him to return from a business meeting, Zara thought about that first night when she jumped into his car in desperation. She'd been running from one danger into what she thought might be another. Instead, she'd found safety, family, and a love that was worth every complication. Her phone buzzed. A text from Minho. Coming home. Picking up dinner from that place you like. The real girlfriend perk is, I actually remember your preferences now. She smiled and texted back. The real boyfriend perk is I actually care what happens to you when you're late. Fair point. See you in 20. Zara set down her phone and looked around the sitting room where, just months ago, she'd sat for that first interrogation with Mi-young. So much had changed, and yet the fundamentals remained. Finding each other when they'd both been lost. Choosing trust over fear. Building something worth protecting. Outside, the sun was setting over the city. Soon Minho would be home, and they'd have dinner together, and tomorrow would bring whatever challenges came next. But they'd face them together. Two people who'd found each other in the chaos and decided to stay. The front door opened. Minho's voice called out, "I'm home." And just like that, Zara realized she was too. Really, truly home. Not just in a house or a place, but in a life she'd chosen, with a person she'd chosen, in a love that was complicated and dangerous, and absolutely worth it. She went to meet him, and as he pulled her into his arms, dinner forgotten for the moment, she thought about all the wrong turns that had led her exactly where she needed to be. Sometimes the most beautiful love stories came from the most unexpected places, from moments of desperation and choices that seemed crazy at the time. Sometimes you had to jump into the wrong car to find the right life. And that, she thought, as Minho kissed her, was exactly what she'd done. If this story touched your heart, if you felt the connection between Minho and Zara, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone who loves Korean romance stories with a twist. And drop a comment telling me, would you take a chance on love if it meant stepping into a dangerous world? Have you ever had to choose between playing it safe and following your heart? I read every single comment, and I love hearing your stories. New videos drop every week, so turn on those notifications. Remember, sometimes the most beautiful love stories come from the most unexpected places. Until next time, keep believing in love that transforms, love that saves, love that's worth the risk.